Hey, everybody, I'm so excited. This is your co-host of 19 Cats and Counting, Linda Hall. I am so excited for you to meet Liz Miele. She is the daughter of two veterinarians and a stand-up comedian who has gone viral, and she has written a book called Why Cats Are Aholes. And this is something Rita and I often discuss behind the scenes, why our cats are a-holes. And is my mother watching? She'll wash my mouth out with soap. And so we're going to get into this with Liz right after this break from our sponsor. Hello, hello. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I am your co-host, Linda Hall, and Rita Reimers. Do we have you there?
I'm
I like
here.
To roll my R's with your name.
And since our last show, I've gone 20, 19, 20.
20.
Yeah.
Dexter.
So we're back to 20. We had a little, he looks black, but he's really dark chocolate brown.
He might be
show up on my deck. Actually, while we were doing a behavior call, remember? And I saw the tail and I went, oh, I have to go see who's on my deck. And both she and the client said, oh, back to 20.
I see number 20 after you said, Linda, whatever, do not let me take in a 20th cat.
I know, but he didn't come. I didn't see him for a week. And a week after, it was exactly a week after Sonny had died, and he was all curled up. And he just let me pick him up and bring him in. He's so sweet. He's going to be neutered Wednesday, and we'll scan him for a chip to make sure he doesn't belong to anybody, but I don't think he does.
Yep.
So he is not an a-hole cat, but I have an a-hole cat named Boo Boo. So I'm really looking forward to meeting Liz. Why don't you go ahead and introduce Liz for us?
Liz Miele, hello.
Hi. I love hearing about, I just love the idea that you neuter this cat and then you find the chip and you're like, oh, sorry. Like you return it with less cat.
Right. Yes.
He was out there wandering around my land. I don't want to make a baby. So, if he does belong to you, oops.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But could you imagine you do that with a kid? You're like, I found a kid. I took some things away, but here's your kid back. Like,
got his appendix out and his tonsils. I was just trying to avoid future trouble.
That's so funny.
He was crying a lot, so I put him in therapy. You're welcome.
Right.
That is kind of what I'm doing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, my son-in-law took in one of those cats. Was in really bad shape. Got him all fixed up. Got him. I think it was a girl. I think I got her spayed. And then the people come, they saw her in the window and they're like, that's my cat. And he's like, really? Would you like to pay the vet bill? They didn't come back.
I bet.
Back.
Well, that cat was also sick.
Yeah. Also, when they're in such bad shape, you're like, what kind of owner are you? Like, that's always my favorite, where you're like, I don't think it wants to live with you.
Right? Yes, exactly. I'm sorry.
So your cat, though, inspired you to write this book. How did this book come along? Why Cats Are A-holes?
So it's funny. I've always been a cat lady at heart, honestly. And it's funny because like I talk about my cat and I take so many pictures of my cat that people assume I probably have 19 cats, but I'm just taking too many pictures of my cat. And I have the heart of a cat lady. Both my parents are veterinarians. My mom's a cat specialist. I grew up next to a cat clinic. Like it's just who I am. Yes. So I've always written too many jokes about my cat and this love-hate relationship I have with her. Like I can't live without her. I can't live without any cat or any kind of, we're animal people. You know how it is? Like you don't feel whole unless somebody's ignoring you. So I had this joke from my first album on YouTube that was like, nobody ever gives you a cat. Like something bad has to happen to you and they kind of fall into your life. So I always say everybody's one bad breakup away from owning a cat. And that really just applies to people because we're cat people, but there's people that are like, I would never. But then I started noticing when I wrote this joke, maybe like 7 years ago, that it was a lot of like guy comedians that would go through a bad breakup and they would just have a cat and they're like, this is my cat Pop-Tart. This is my cat flea market. Like, you know what I mean? And it was like these kind of rough guys. And I was like, oh, they're hurting. Like, you know what I mean? They're hurting, they're broke. And they're like, that cat's free and I need love.
Right.
So, and that's what kind of inspired it. And then my editor, whose name is Jason Katzman, that's his actual name.
We need that name. We need I'll change our names to Katzman.
Exactly. We're all doing it wrong. My full name is going to be Liz Jason Katzman Miele. I hope he's honored.
That works.
so I he had seen the bit. He has 2 cats with his wife. He was kind of like, he wanted something out about cats that showed that, like, they're not who we wish they would be sometimes, but we still love them despite their flaws.
Yes.
And he saw that bit, approached me. I told him exactly what I was thinking about for writing it. I felt like when my manager sent me the email, I was like, yeah, I've been waiting for this email for like 10 years. I was like, I went to school for writing. I have so many cat jokes that don't have a place to go. And it just kind of, the book just, I didn't write it as much as it just flowed out of me.
Right.
With
I love
cat
it.
dinner.
Well, it's something,
With cat
it's something you're living. That's why too. You're living it.
I just
grew up with it.
I've always been obsessed. So it was like really actually fun. Like the first part of the book is like the history of cats. Like, how did they get domesticated? Why do Egyptians and, Japanese cultures revere them and honor them? Why are there so many superstitions about Black cats? And it's all stuff that I kind of knew about because I was obsessed with Egypt when I was like a little girl, and my mom bought me all these books. And I've always been like, I've always loved history, and I've always loved like animals and how they kind of come about. I'm in New York. I love bodega cats. I love that every single bodega has a cat. And sometimes like the owners are very loving. And sometimes it's like a roommate situation where they're like, that's French fries. He's annoying. Like, but they're there because they're like working cats. And I've always been really resentful of like, cats are useless. And I'm like, yeah, they're not seeing eye dogs, but they are like rodent repellents.
For sure.
And then to learn, like, I knew that why they were in bodegas, but I had no idea that they were on ships way back. And they were like real important pest control when people would be on ships for, for months at a time. But learning about the history of them, like, I was just like really proud of myself. I was like, I knew I like cared about them and thought they were like awesome cats. And then to like get ready for research and writing this, I was just like, it feels good to be right.
Sure.
Yes.
I love things that validate, and it's awesome. Well, my cats aren't doing their job because I found 2 bats in my house in the last week. So they've got them out of the air, at least for me.
I was gonna say, they're the reason they were on the ground. Don't say they weren't doing their job.
I know.
They at least brought them from swooping on you. Yeah, thank you.
I think they're actually really smart. They're like, hey, I'm gonna get them out, but I'm not gonna eat them because
thank God
we're in a pandemic and we know what happens.
Right.
I'm waiting for the results of the tests right now to find out if it was rabid. And then now I have a Batman thanks to them. So I have a Batman.
No. Batman. Sorry. I can't control that. It's like,
but
Tourette's. I do. I have
true.
song Tourette's. Anytime somebody says something related to a song, I'm just like, ah! I'm so excited. It's bad. It's a real problem. Oh,
Linda's almost as bad
then
as
there's
me.
a chapter of your book that
I was just saying, you're as bad as me. You live with 11
not
cats.
by choice.
I know.
Not by choice. Yeah. I had 7 and my daughter had to come move back home with her 4 and that made 11.
And a dog.
It was a little hairy for a minute. Oh yeah. And the dog. Yeah. I always overlooked that.
What were you saying? You were noticing one of
somebody to blame that isn't you.
Right. Well, yeah. And you hear those noises. I don't know how people live. You hear those noises at night and you go, it's the cats. If I didn't have cats, I'd be like, burglar. There's someone broke in.
But then there wouldn't be any noise at night, Linda.
Yes, there is. This house creeps and makes all kinds. It's over 100 years old. This house makes noise. God bless the cats.
I think of like, what is a burglar going to take that my cat hasn't broken already? Like,
oh yeah.
Good point.
There's nothing valuable anymore.
Good point. Yes. So there was a chapter, something about cat ladies. What is it? Cat ladies are real or?
Yeah.
Crazy cat ladies are real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people like, I am a cat lady, even though I only have 1 cat. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the term cat lady. Now, crazy cat lady is when people stop taking care of their cats.
Yes.
They, you know what I mean? They stop cleaning up after them. If we're being honest, it's a form of mental illness.
It's true.
It truly is. It's a form of hoarding. My mom has seen so many sad cases. They're not actually taking care of the cats.
They're letting them reproduce. Yeah.
And it becomes this actually really sad state. And so it's funny how, as a female comic, you get a lot of people say horrible things about you on YouTube and stuff. It doesn't bother me.
I can imagine.
Because I have so many cat jokes, because I talk about being single at different parts of my life, they kind of try to use it as a way of dismissing me. And I'm like, how are you dismissing me because I like cats and I take care of them?
I know.
Crazy cat lady is somebody that is not taking care of their animals, but I'm a sane person with a career and a healthy cat. Like it's just so funny how things get through society misrepresented, and then they try to use it as a way
Oh,
of
I know.
hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's just like, so that's really what it is like, yes, crazy cat lady is a thing and cat ladies are a thing, but they are very
They're two
different.
different
And
things. Yes.
yeah, and I they've tried to make women that own cats are either single or independent this like bad thing, and I'm like, I don't know, like, is it really bad that I'm a caretaker that has made a decision the same way if you adopt a kid or if you
Right.
do have a husband or boyfriend or whatever, any partner in your life, you've made a decision to be a caretaker and to have a mutual relationship. Why is it different with any animal? Like, I just think it's
Yes.
silly.
I don't know why
Yes.
it's different. And the thing too is you're smart enough to know you sound like you have a busy, active lifestyle, and a dog probably wouldn't fit in with that. Whereas a cat, they're not like aloof and totally independent like people think, but they can, they can hang on their own and use their litter box and all of that. And do all that if you have to work long hours or if you're away, where a dog, you'd have a mess on your floor and everything would be chewed up. And yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm an animal person. I love dogs.
Oh, I do
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always find that so funny that people try to be like, what's wrong with dogs? Nothing. And like you said, Rita, it just doesn't match my lifestyle at all.
Yes.
I up until
Yeah.
this year, I was touring. I was probably on a plane every 3 days.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
legit at my apartment. So my cat was actually living with my mom for a long time because my tour
Sure.
schedule got so crazy.
Sure.
And it was actually
Yeah.
nice to be home and spend a year with my cat
I
because that
bet.
wasn't what we were doing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and she's older now, so she's a little harder to leave. But when she was younger, I would be gone 3 days. And as long as her litter box, she's getting fed by my roommate, she's fine. Now
Right.
she's an
Yeah.
she's an old lady.
How old is she?
She'll be 16 next month.
16. Ooh, I have two
Oh,
14-year-olds,
yeah.
and her name is Pasta.
Yeah,
I
she's
love
sleeping
it.
right now. Otherwise,
Aw.
she'll be
How
fine.
How
She's
did you
the
come
entire
up with
podcast.
pasta? I love how people come up with names. It
Too.
fascinates me.
I'm 100% Italian, but I don't have a gluten intolerance, but me and gluten aren't the best of friends.
I
So I
gotcha.
can have it. Like, it's not like celiac, but I definitely know that there's something. So I basically was a pasta lover that couldn't really have it. And I was like,
No.
I'll just find another way to enjoy.
Yeah, I like
Pasta
it. I like it.
kitty.
I always like hearing the reasoning behind these names. We
Yeah.
ran a pet sitting business for a long time, and
15 years.
my favorite, this guy called and we're getting all this information. What's your cat's name? And it kept sounding like he was saying Beanie. And I'm like, Beanie? No, B and E. Breaking and entering. The cat just came in the house and wouldn't leave.
So they gave
I
up and
love
adopted it. Yep.
I was just like, yes, I love you, dude.
That's what I love about cat people. They have the most creative names. And so I did a YouTube live where I read a chapter from my book, and then we had a cat naming contest.
Right.
And I have in my cat naming chapter, I described like fur patterns, and I'm like, tell me your best name. So people were so good. I had one that was like, okay, it's an orange cat, and the white fur on the chest looks like it's a tie. And so we had people that were like Conan. The guy that won, his was the regional
Conan.
manager. Come
I
on.
love that.
And then you would call him the Reg. Like, that's just a
Love it.
great
I love
name.
it. Reach, like Regis Philbin. Yeah, Reach.
And then I was gonna say the Meow Parlor, which is a cat cafe in New York City.
Mhm.
I follow them on Instagram. They had a cat maybe like a year ago, and its name was Unlimited Breadsticks. And I was like, you guys win. That's the best I've ever heard. I love it.
That's a good one.
This cat is mine.
I think the favorite one of pet sitting that I liked, we had a client with a cat named Johnny Sunshine.
Yes.
I thought that was cute.
I always felt
Yeah.
like I wanted to visit that cat. Like, he was going to be really happy and chill and, like does do the names. And have you not found that if you name your cat something, even when it's young, before the personality comes out, the personality tends to match it on its own?
Well, I've always said, like, when somebody's like, cats are mean, I'm just like, that it's really like, I joke with my mom. My mom got a quarantine cat. So she got a cat, and she just retired in November.
Uh-huh.
But she has my sister's cats living with her. Sometimes Pasta stays with her, and then she got her own cat. because her other one died a year ago. So she gets this
Aw.
kitten and it's kind of a jerk. It's like aloof. It doesn't like to cuddle. And she really likes my cat because my cat's really cuddly. And so whenever I'm just like, oh, how's Alita doing? And she's like, and she'll call her the B word. And I'll be like, they usually reflect their owners. So just put it out there. Just, you're not always the friendliest, but
Oops.
in a general sense though, like I'm a really cuddly person and I'm a very happy person. And Pasta, I mean, she was a farm cat. I got her from my friend, and she really was not the cat I wanted when I first got her. She was really like distant, and she's still kind of, hissy and whatever. And it took years of just being like, I'm gonna love the crap out of you.
Aww.
And I kind of feel the same way when, like, if you give up on them the same way you might give up on somebody that's not always the friendliest. Like,
It's true.
she had a hard farm life, and I had to show her there was love.
Yes, exactly.
You're so right though about them reflecting your personality, because a lot of my cats who've now passed away, because I had them so long, the ones I got when I was younger, like right after my divorce, and I was dating a bunch of jerks and I was always stressed, they were a lot more high strung than the cats that I've adopted now that I'm in the phase of my life where I don't give what people think of me.
Yep. And some just are, and I love that your book, because Rita and I are behaviorists. And so, we're always trying to get through to people. And if you're doing that with comedy in a way that's going to make people laugh, and it's going to be enjoyable. It's not a handbook or a textbook or, something that's going to make you snooze. It's funny. And I don't know how many times Rita and I will complain to each other about something a cat has done and been like, let's make a podcast now. Let's tell him the truth. This cat's a jerk,
Yeah.
Although we do use the a-hole word.
I mean, I've met some real jerk cats, but the same way you've met some jerk humans. Why is a whole species about one bad experience you've had?
I know.
And then I always say, you always are going to love your cat. So like, if you're a person that never actually had a cat and you don't get to see, because every person, every animal has their good and bad days. So it's like, I've had days where I'm like, do not talk to me. Like a crazy person.
I know.
I've told her, I was like, I am mad. I'm so mad at you. And then, like anything, you're just like, all right, get it. Like the fact that like I yell at her and then she crawls into my lap. I'm like, I've done that to my ex-boyfriend before, where I'm just like, I hate you. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, I was mean. That was
that's like my boo-boo.
He crawled in your lap.
And boo-boo, he was named, I'm not sure how the name came up, but he, true to form, likes to lay on my boobs. Okay, so boo-boo's perfect. And the other reason it's perfect is he is such a brat cat. I've written about him being a brat. Especially when I'm talking to Linda and I've got her on speakerphone, he hears her voice. He comes running from wherever he is, tries to get the phone out of my hand. And if I don't pay attention to him, he'll go over to the wall, lift up his tail and stare at me. Like, if you don't come see me, I'm going to spray on the wall. And he does. If I don't notice it fast enough, he sprays on the wall.
It's like,
although
we're in mid conversation, all you hear, no, boo boo, stop it. No, it's like, no, I got it. She's like, I'm sorry. No, I got you. It was boo boo, right? No, my favorite thing is when he launches off of furniture and lands on your boobs. That doesn't tickle.
I used to have a cat tree right next to my bed. I don't have it anymore because he would jump from the high right on my chest. That hurts, darn it.
Oh my God, just dive bombing into anybody.
Yes.
I was doing a podcast. I have a weekly podcast with a friend of mine, and we're recording, and you hear the retching. Like I hear it, and normally, like I have hardwood floors, so she wants to vomit on my bed, but usually I'm somewhere around, especially in the middle of the night. I'm like, no, just vomit on the floor. We'll deal with it later. I'm like, we'll deal with it later. Yeah. So I'm doing this podcast. My bed's too far away, and you just like I can't wait to see it because I don't say anything. I look over. I see she's about to vomit on my bed, and I'm just like, that's really interesting. Like, I'm just like so mad because there's no way I could fix this. And of course I was like, now I have to go do my sheets and
Boo-boo sprayed on the couch during a cat behavior session, remember?
Oh yeah. And you were like, there was nothing I could do. I was powerless.
And he knew it.
I have this orange cat who likes to show his dominance. what's a nice way to say by humping his siblings? Is there a nice way to say that? He's
was the nice way.
neutered. It's not a sexual thing, it's a dominance thing. And so he'll bite the back, and poor Subra, she's always the victim. He'll bite the back of her neck and mount her, and she's going, ah! And so we're shooting a podcast and I hear her cry and I look, right on the bed in the shot on the podcast, humping his sister. So I'm like, excuse me, as I kind of tried to nonchalantly.
We have to take a break right here, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back on 19 Cats and Counting with this awesome comedian, Liz, telling us all about why cats are a-holes, about her awesome cat pasta. And one of the chapters I'm really interested in is the bucket list. Tell me about the bucket list for cat lovers.
So I've toured all over the world for comedy, and I started posting first of all, I used to be like my Instagram, like the only thing to be jealous of in my life is my Instagram account, because I was traveling all over the world by myself, and like I would often be in these places for like a day or two, and I would just roam, and I wouldn't really be able to do a lot of touristy things because they were too far from my gigs.
Sure.
And I would just kind of roam around and take pictures. And I love stray cats. So like I was doing this military tour where I was in Egypt and Turkey and Jordan, and then I was in Italy, and like I went to Cuba. And so anywhere that there was stray cats, and I'm like a National Geographic photographer. When I see a cat, I get on the ground.
Love it.
I'm low. I'm looking for angles. I'm like chewing them. Like, you know, I'm really into it. So I started posting these pictures every Saturday for Catterday, and it would be a cat from Italy and a cat from Turkey. And I would just get really into it. And I continue to do it now because I haven't gone anywhere. It's just like bodega cats and neighborhood cats.
Right.
But I really just started to realize, because like I was in Japan, there's cats. First of all, there's cat paraphernalia everywhere. Everything's advertised with cats. It just made me feel like the whole country was a cat cafe. But I was there with my boyfriend at the time and his family, and I was kind of invited, and it wasn't really my vacation, so I couldn't have been like, we should go here. But after I left, I was like, there's like cat islands, and there's like certain sections of Japan that might not be like the regular typical like Kyoto or Tokyo, but like off the beaten path places that are just literally catered to like cat ladies. And then I started to notice there's other places. And of course, I've been to almost every single cat cafe you can think of. Like when I did a festival in Edinburgh for a month, and within 2 days I was inside their cat cafe. I was exhausted already doing my show. So I've been to a bunch of cat cafes, but what I really love is just, like I said, I would be in Thailand and I would stop in my tracks and start taking picture of a cat picture. And then I'd talk to a vendor, and it was just a very authentic way to kind of get to know where I am and also the people around me. And I don't know, even when there's a language barrier, I was in Thailand. I had a couple of hours until my flight, and somebody said there was this like really pretty park. So I walked to it. It was like a 30-minute walk, and I turn around and there's 16 cats like just out there. And the way it was, like this woman's window was really low. And it wasn't until I was like in the grass taking these pictures that I realized I'm like kind of in someone's backyard. And the woman looks up and she's like, oh yeah. And then you see there's like 16 bowls, and she shakes the bowls and they all scurry in and she feeds them. And like, again, language barrier. But I was like in love with this woman. I was like, can I take pictures? She's like, absolutely. I was like just on cloud 9.
I love it.
For me, the bucket list was me researching all these places that when things do open up again, I want to make a point that like, okay, if I'm going to go to Japan again, I would have some extra days to do some like Liz cat tourism, some stuff that like might not be what, you know, a typical person might go to, but like people like us, like that would just be like a fun day. So it's a very specific bucket list, I think, to like people that
I think it's like great. Because people don't know that. Like I went to Maui way back, it's 2006. And I discovered there was this area where there was like you said, lots of feral cats, and people were just coming and feeding them. You know, it was like a tourist attraction. I didn't even know it was there. So writing things like this so that other people who love cats know that they exist. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's, to me, it's like a fun layer to a lot of places that I've gone to. So like I was in the Philippines, and the booker was kind of taking me around. He took me out to lunch. He was showing me stuff. I really like street art. So he was showing me some places that had street art. And then he saw me again, get down. Like, this is a man that I've only emailed, and now I'm just like this tourist girl. And so I'm taking these pictures. He's like, come with me. And we walk like 10 minutes and there's cats everywhere.
Oh,
And
I
he goes,
love it.
every single day at noon and 6 p.m., the cats are here because they get fed by this this charity organization. So I'm like having a great time. He's taking pictures of me. I look like ridiculous as this like white girl's on the ground, just like
I
taking
love
pictures. But it made me realize like I've been accidentally taking in knowledge. And like when I posted the pictures, that charity organization was like, thank you so much for posting about this. And then where was I? When I was in Turkey, I found out like really all the cats are kind of like clipped on the ear. All the dogs, it was crazy. There was this really long park in Izmir, Turkey. And it looked like all these people brought their dog on a picnic. But then you'd see people get up and leave. And I'm like, you forgot your dog. And then you realize all these animals are stray, but they take really good care of them. They have all
I've
these, like,
heard that.
Yeah, like these weird vending machines so you could feed the cats and dogs if you wanted to. Cats love to sleep on the tires there. So everybody makes sure they check their tires before, like before, so they don't, it was just like, I was like, okay, like, I get that some societies might not like having stray cats everywhere, but I feel like Turkey did a really good job of like, clearly they bring them in, they neuter, they spay them, they let them be. And like the society as a whole has made a way for them to be taken care of and fed and supported. And it's also, it makes me love being there, is like I get to meet all these like cats and dogs.
I know. I never wanted to go to Turkey until I heard how they take care of their ferals. I'm like, now I want to go there. I wish the United States could take a lesson from that. You know, there's a lot of people that do TNR, but there's too many people that let their cats just
needs to be more organized and
don't get them spayed and neutered.
And I think that's what it is. I think certain countries get on the same page and so it's like the opposite to that. And I kind of talk about it a little bit in the book, is Australia is actually like killing cats. Like they basically they're killing too many birds. So we're just gonna, and you're just like, there's gotta be a better way of handling them. Also, can't we learn from history? You get rid of the cats, then the rodents take over, you know, like it's all cyclical. So don't just start. It was like New Zealand and Australia that was their solution. I was like, that's not the solution.
I was telling you about that a couple weeks ago, Linda.
We were just talking about that. And Egypt is on my bucket list. I crave Egypt. Like, oh,
you have a friend from Egypt.
Well, yes, I have a very good friend that she grew up in Alexandria, and her husband, who's now deceased, rest in peace, Mo. He was lived in Cairo. Cairo, yes, that's how you pronounce it. I always Cairo. Yeah.
Cairo,
and and I learned a little Egyptian Arabic. Like I can say excuse me and thank you and I'm here, and you know, I got a few things.
Can you say cat? Can you say cat?
I can't. Oh my gosh, I gotta call Maha. I gotta go, guys. I gotta call Maha. I gotta say cat.
There's so much research to do.
I know, right? Sorry, gotta go. Well, it's slipping because of COVID. I haven't gotten to converse with her like I used to.
Yeah.
I got so dorky when I was there because this was about 5 years ago, but my best friend's Egyptian. That's who I do the podcast with. So she was kind of telling me, and her family grew up in Cairo, and she was telling me, she's like, oh, the cats are a little bigger there and they roam around. And then of course I read all these books when I was a kid. And so we were out to dinner outside and I look and there's a stray cat and I was like, Egyptian cat. They're like, yeah, they're all Egyptian. I was like, no, but it's an Egyptian. Like I got like so dorky to the point where like, and I was on a military base and everybody's like, this lady's crazy. But it was, to me, I was like, they're like the first domesticated cat, guys. Yes. And they're like, yeah, okay. And
we're in Egypt where this all, that's huge.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, it's the historical tour for cat people.
Your podcast you just mentioned. What's the name of your podcast? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's called Two Non-Doctors. So it's with my friend Maria Shahada, who is a comedian. She's actually American, but she's based in London. And she's 100% Egyptian. I'm 100% Italian. And for some reason, we're know-it-alls. Like we just, and her parent, like her dad's an accountant. My parents are vets. And somehow we both decided we're doctors. Like we both have just like, so she'll show me a rash and I'll be like, this is what you got to do. And she's like, why? And I was like, I don't know. But we're researchers, we're Googlers. Like we're this kind of like, and I don't know if it's because we're both, like we're women that have traveled the world and we've figured it out. And I think with our bodies, we've kind of done the same thing. So she was actually opening for me on a European tour when COVID happened and I had to cancel my tour and go home. And I'm like literally boarding a flight. And I was like, we should start a podcast. Like, I was like, we need to do something, not thinking it was going to be clearly for over a year.
Yeah.
But we bring my mom on, who is a cat specialist and a real doctor, just to like, because it'll be so funny that we'll start talking about something and we're very honest that we're morons. We don't know what we're talking about. Everything is Google. Like it's clearly a comedy podcast where our topics are like health and wellness and beauty and stuff like that. But it's from a very, like, we actually at the end of every episode, we're just like, we're dumb. Correct us if we're wrong, and we're always wrong. But my mom is the one that comes on and will be like, so what does that mean? She goes, okay, the way your blood vessels work. And I'm like, thank God for legitimizing our podcast. So my mom's on once a month. She's so funny, so much smarter than us. And like, it's been actually, she's really cute because I don't like, she's like, oh, it just feels like I'm sitting at a table talking to you guys. And I was like, oh yeah, when you don't know anything, you're just talking. Like, I could see how, like, if we were smart, this might be kind of boring medical stuff, but it's just a bunch of women being like, do you think I should see a doctor? I think you should see a doctor.
And then your mom comes in though, and she's got some real knowledge to share. So that makes it interesting. You have the comedy edge, and then you're sharing some real information with people, which is great.
Yeah, and she's so funny because I'll be like, what do you think of this? She's like, well, on a cat. And I was like, Mom, I'm not a cat. I've been trying to tell you this since I was a kid. I'm not a cat. because she is like my primary doctor. Like, I'll go to her and I'll be like, hey, I have this weird rash. She's like, I'll send you some ointment. And it'll say for cats and dogs only. And I was like, is this okay? She's like, it's the same stuff. It doesn't matter.
Well, if you start meowing, you'll know.
Yeah, I've always been insecure that I don't have like typical name brand medicine. I have this like veterinarian medicine. I mean, it's free, but I am like wondering, I'm Italian. I'm a very hairy person, but I'm wondering if some of it's the medicine.
It's made for a cat. That's actually not a bad point.
Here's a new episode for your podcast. What's in Liz's medicine cabinet?
Yeah. Oh my God, for real.
Good. Yes.
Let's pull this out. Oh, what was this for? It says made for horses. Well,
yeah. You open it up, it's all ketamine. You're like, ooh, I think she might have a drug problem.
I got a cat spayed about a year after my hysterectomy. When I got the bill, I said, why didn't I just come here? Could you have done it? Because this is thousands of dollars cheaper. It's ovaries, uterus, same deal.
Yeah, no, my friend Alonzo Bowden, really funny comedian, about, I want to say 10 years ago, he got in a motorcycle accident and broke his arm. And there was something where he couldn't get to the doctor right away. And he had a friend that was a vet, and he basically was like, how bad is it? And this guy did all this help for him. And it was like this, it was like cheaper, like all this stuff. And he goes, screw this. Next time I have to go somewhere, I'm going to a vet. And he had this whole big joke about how much better vet care is than human care. And it went viral. And my friend, who's an equine vet, was in vet school. And she goes, do you know who this guy is? I was like, oh, I opened for him. He's the best. I showed it to my mom. She's like, he's my new favorite comedian. I was like, that's unfair. I don't like that. But like,
that's not allowed.
Like,
Mom. Hello, daughter. Hello.
Yeah. I was like, I'm always your favorite. But it was such a good, valid point. And I think people feel that often, that like, you can get an appointment the day of, nobody's turning you away. They actually make a point. Like, it's not just because they can't ask, what hurts or what's wrong. They have to actually really pay attention to you and how your body functions. Yeah. I think people feel very rushed in and out of a doctor's appointment in general, feel they're not getting real care. And I think intuitively, besides like loving animals, but I think to actually get to know something, you really have to pay attention and assess the situation in a way that, because we can talk, I don't think doctors are really doing that.
I think that's true. I have a wonderful veterinarian, Dr. Glenn, here in Lancaster, South Carolina. I'm just south of Charlotte. And he just, he has the compassion. He never makes you feel like you're rushed. And like you said, he's really got to pay attention to the cat or dog and really investigate what's going on. So I think they take more time, even if they're busy. He never makes me feel like he's too busy. In fact, my cat bit me while I was there.
I still got that. Yeah.
Well, she's a new cat. She and her brother
had enough.
Yeah. And they were their owner died, and they were in the shelter here, and of course they called me and said they're not doing too great. So I adopted them. I took her for a checkup and she was scared, so she bit me while I was putting her back in the carrier. And right away, the vet took my arm and he put this, whatever you put on.
Stopped and doctored her.
Yes.
No
Bandaged me up.
charge.
And
Yes.
I said, are you going to add that to the bill? Oh, no charge.
They took that poor cat's temperature up her butt. You stick something up my butt at a doctor's appointment, I'm gonna bite you too.
She hated that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bite you
Those are just
hard.
facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then he was doing, the exam where he's, feeling her insides, and I'm trying to hold her down. He's like, she's going to bite you. I said, I know, but better me than you. I'm sure
Oh my
he's
God, my
got
mom's
marks
hands
from-
are
she's a
so
sweetheart,
scary.
though. She's a sweetheart. She's really a
Ah.
sweet cat. She was just in here a minute ago.
Yeah, I'm sure your mother's gotten bit 8,000 times,
Yeah, I
right?
bet.
She really does have scary hands.
I
To the
bet.
point where, like, if they didn't know she was a vet, they'd be like, "What happened to you?"
And is she's cats only, or she just prefers to work on cats?
So cats only. Yeah, she had
Cats
an
only.
all cat clinic from I want to say like 91 until November.
Wow.
And then but clearly dog, like, she actually, a lot of my friends would ask for vet care, and if it was a dog or a cat, my mom would always take time to look at them. And she would get excited. So, like, she's like, I've always loved cats, but like I forgot how much I like dogs. So then she would see like a comedian friend's dog and she'd be like, oh yeah, I remember I liked
Yeah,
these.
dogs. Yeah.
And then my dad did all small animals, but my dad is allergic to rabbits and guinea pigs. And so he'd
Oh.
always have another vet do those. But if
Yeah.
they were like sick or they weren't, like, he would literally be like, let them know I'm not going to be friendly. And he would just like rush in, go handle it. And then he would just kind of be
Like, go
puppy
wash
all
his
day.
hands, and yeah.
Yeah.
My parents have 6 dogs. My mom runs the Humane Society here in Lancaster. So
Oh.
they ended up like me in rescue. I end up with the unadoptables. They did too. So I get my dog fix when I go to their house. I grew up with a dog too, but I've always just had this tendency to gravitate towards cats, and I just have this natural understanding I can only thank God for, because like I'm taking the courses and certification and I'm like, yeah, I knew that already. Yeah, I knew that.
Mhm.
Or I'll say something that I think everyone knows, and Linda will go, not everybody knows that. I'm like, they don't? Okay.
Well, especially in living in such a large cat household, because you got one cat, it's a jerk or it's nice or it is what it is. You got 11 or 20 cats hanging out.
11 or
You're gonna
20.
see
Yeah.
all
love
the
that.
personalities. The personalities. Yeah.
Linda's not single with her multi-cats. I am, but
Yeah, I at
that's
least
just
have a
a
little help. but
coincidence. Yeah. You have
Yeah.
a teenage son, and now your adult daughter's there, and your husband.
Yeah.
Although I
Yeah.
don't think your husband signed on for 11 cats.
Poor that man. So initially it's, I hate cats. You know that guy.
Yeah.
I hate cats. So my daughter Cassie really wanted to volunteer at a rescue and get her cat fixed. And she was under 16 at the time. So I went with her. She's like 24 now. This was a while ago. And we come home, we're talking about this cat, Subra. And finally he goes, one cat. You can get one cat. And we looked around for flying pigs and the end of the world and Armageddon and stuff, and it didn't happen. So we went and got the one cat. But then Jackie at the shelter said, well, they do better in pairs. So I came home and like, Jackie says, 2 cats, just 2 cats. 11 cats.
11 cats later.
I mean, that's how it's going to happen. I feel somewhat fortunate because I live in New York. I have 2 roommates. I travel. Like, I know that my cap is my career and my space. I mean, this isn't humane for a human, how big my space is, let alone for a cat. So that kind of, because I can't tell you how many people are like, look at this cute kitten that needs a home. And I'm like, stop it. You stop it. Like, I'm like, that's, I can't do, I want that. My mom knows I love injured cats. Like, my sister has a 3-legged cat that she actually,
I have one.
Yeah. I just feel like they're the cuddliest. I don't know if that's wrong. Because we grew up, we had a cat that was blind that had one eye. We had cats that were like missing. So there was a cat missing an eye. First of all, she said, she's like, there's something wrong with the eye. I think I might have to remove it. Do you want this cat? And I was like, Mom, I want this cat, but I can't have this cat. And then 3 days later, she's like, oh, I fixed the eye. It has 2 eyes. I was like, of course I don't want it now. Like, that.
Right? You ruined it. I say that about Rita. She'll say, I'm at my max. I'm not taking another cat. And I say, until someone shows you a picture of a one-eyed,
Yeah.
three-legged cat who's about to be
Oh my
euthanized, and then you are
God.
in your car
No.
speeding to get this
20
cat.
is my max. And when Mr. Dexter, Linda named him Dexter,
He
not
was on her deck.
D-E-X-T-R.
He was on her deck. So he's
Well,
Dexter.
When he showed up, he filled the space. So I have no space now. And I really don't want to stay at 20, but everybody knows, like when they called me about Scooter and Missy, they're like, we know you had 2 die recently, so you've got space. So what am I supposed to say? No?
It's like,
You need to
I
make a
swear.
sign for your door and a voice message for your phone that says no vacancy.
Yes.
No vacancy.
Agreed.
Well, and yeah, and the next cat that passes, do not post that on Facebook, honey. That's your mistake, because then
Yeah.
all the rescues like call each other, like they have this like, inter messaging system. And Rita's down one. Rita's
Who's
down
gonna
one.
get her the next cat? Quick,
What have you got?
right? Oh my gosh. So where can people find you, Liz? I mean, are you back traveling, doing stand-up, or are you doing things online besides your podcast?
So both. So I
Both.
have like a virtual monthly show. I do like a new material show called Zoom Diner. So I have that coming up on April 11th. And then I'm slowly doing like quarter to half capacity, socially distanced kind of shows. I have
Right.
an outdoor show in Portland this weekend. It's going to be the first time I've headlined in a very long time. I'm very scared. And that's like limited capacity, socially distanced and outside.
Sure.
And then I'll be in Philly and Minneapolis at the end of April. Again, I think Philly's half capacity. Minneapolis is like 36% capacity. Brooklyn, I'll do, that's like 33%. It's like these limited capacities, which I'm at this point, like I got the first vaccine. My parents are getting the vaccine.
I got mine
just,
today.
yeah,
Yep.
congrats. I just like, I don't want to kill anybody's family. I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm like, it's this
Get it.
weird thing where like, I'm non-essential, and we're in dark, gross basements. Like I've spent my entire life in probably where COVID breeds the most. Like it's so weird to be like, art
Linda.
spaces and what I do is just not conducive to this kind of lifestyle. So I think all the clubs are doing their
Right.
best to make it healthy and safe.
Well, I know we appreciate that. Linda lost her son-in-law, who was an employee of mine too, to COVID-19 last July.
That's why my daughter moved back home with her
Yeah.
4 cats. Yeah.
Yeah, he was 38. He died
Wow.
3 days after his
3 days.
38th birthday on his wife's 32nd birthday.
Oh
You
my
can't make
God.
this stuff up. So we really appreciate the social distancing and people
Yes.
who really take it seriously.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
it's important. It's very important.
Yeah.
But much as we want to see your comedy, we want to make sure we do it in a
Of
safe way.
course.
And
Well,
if you ever come down to the Charlotte area, there is a cat cafe in Charlotte.
Woo,
Just saying.
guys.
I haven't been.
Yeah.
We have to
So
run.
we'll just take it. Rita's place is a cat cafe.
I was about to
She-
say, it's like, it's
so-
called Rita's Place.
No, right? True
I can
story.
charge.
She
I can
has this
charge.
true story. She has this lovely guest bedroom upstairs because she's single. She doesn't have kids. It's for guests. Lovely, brand new bed, mattress, bought little cat lamps, decorated it. I won't sleep there. I come and visit her. I probably stayed in your house 4 or 5 times now. I sleep on the couch with cats. I don't want to be in that bedroom. I mean, it's lovely.
They'd come up
I
there
appreciate
too. They'd come up
not
there
as much,
too.
not
I
as
know.
much. Being on that couch, I'm covered. It's like
Aw.
sleeping in a cat cafe. It's heaven. Yes,
I
won't-
know. I'm
I
like,
really
where's my
appreciate-
sweetie pie? Oh, she's with Linda.
Yeah, she kind of divorced me for a minute there when I was getting some attention from her sweetie pie because that's her
my
baby,
baby.
and her baby was cheating on her with me, and yeah, it didn't go very well. But but I know Liz has a lot of videos on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Liz. Her last name is Miele. Miele.
And your website is
difficult names.
lizmiele.com, correct? So
Yeah.
people can go to your website too. And do you have your schedule up there of where you're going to be and when
Yeah,
you're
you
going to
can
be?
see all my tour dates. I'm adding stuff every day. I have
Good.
2 out of 3 hours on my YouTube for
Right.
free.
Good.
The book
Yeah.
is out. You can go
That's
read.
okay.
too much
That was
about
my next
cats.
question. It's
Yes.
out. Okay.
Yeah, it's out today.
Okay.
Mhm.
Ah,
Okay,
yay!
I am going to order it as soon as we're
Yep,
done here
me
because
too.
it
Yeah.
sounds like it's right up my alley. And we will make sure we include links when this podcast posts to your website and also to the book on Amazon. And I can't wait to read it. We'll have to write a little review about it, how we can relate to
would
this,
love
because
that.
I know
I'd
we
be
can.
honored.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna have
know.
people, I think next week, write reviews from their cat. Like I want cat perspective reviews. I didn't agree with this. It hurt my feelings, but I think she did great job.
That's awesome. Yes.
I
Well,
think we
talk
might-
to my cats all the time. I read to my cats, and we'll
I
have
think
to,
we might have 31 cats that are willing to review your
right
book.
that are willing to review your book. Yes, yes. How many pages of reviews would you like, sweetheart?
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a confused chihuahua that probably thinks she's a cat. At least that's our
Yes,
assumption.
I love
So,
a
you know,
confused
she can
chihuahua
throw that
review.
in there too. Or she might just be really thrilled that someone is
I
acknowledging that cats are
know.
a-holes, because she doesn't always appreciate
Been
them in her
saying this for
life.
years.
How many times have you called me and started the sentence with my cat is and she'd really say the word
Mhm.
a-hole. My cat's an a-hole, because they can be, but we love them. And we love that you've brought this to the forefront so we can talk about that and the difference between cat ladies and crazy cat ladies. We are all awesome cat ladies. I had the privilege of being called a rad cat lady by Maya Bialik. That thrilled me to no
Ooh.
end.
Yes. Yes.
So I know we have to wrap this up, but we would love to have you back. And seriously,
Yeah.
if you're ever in the Charlotte area, or Linda, she's close to Toledo, would
Mhm.
definitely will want to come and see your stand-up routine.
Awesome.
We will post your website, Liz, Lizmiele, Liz Miele. Did I say that right? .com.
Yay.
And the book, Why Cats Are Aholes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming to the show. And Linda, as always, my awesome co-host who adds a lot of humor to the show. And she does. Mark Winter for giving us the spot on Pet Life Radio and editing and producing our shows. I can't thank you enough. So what do we always say at the end of our shows, Linda?
Every day is Catterday.
Saturday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.